This is a podfic for Peter is Worthy and So Done. Read by Alextras with permission from the original author who has chosen to remain anonymous. Chapter 2. Anyone who claimed the Avengers didn't know how to hold a grudge, the petty kind, had never met them. For numerous times, each and every one of them, even Natasha when nobody was looking, had tried to lift Thor's hammer. It was all good fun where nobody's feelings got hurt. They were all equally unworthy and had made their peace with it. Until now. How could it be that none of the heroes could move it, but some skinny nerd, a kid, did it so effortlessly? "No offence," Clint had said, to which Tony replied, "I am taking full offence." For all they knew, the hammer had been fake, the whole thing orchestrated to make them look stupid for Tony's amusement. So it was, when they couldn't seem to come to a peaceful agreement over the issue, they agreed it had to be done again, just to make sure. This time under their watchful eyes and Thor's solemn promise on his honour that it was indeed his hammer. The next time it happened, almost a week later, Peter was in a much better mood. Which didn't mean he was happy and not willing to strangle someone with the stupid decorations currently in his possession. He had to admit that Stark interns didn't do the usual fetching coffee for the boss or other such boring nonsense, so perhaps he was a little spoiled. Still, he had another version of the new web formula brewing, which had to be monitored at all times. Highly volatile new recipe that it was. So he figured that he deserved to feel some annoyance over this. "Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I signed up to be his errand boy. Certainly not his interior decorator. He should first pay me more. He's a billionaire, while I'm the poor, barely getting by starving orphan and a half. He should feel bad about himself." "You didn't," Friday agreed. "He should." "Then why?" Peter complained as he dropped the box of decorations on the floor, staring at the bizarre location where hardly anyone would find themselves in unless they got lost. "Why am I doing this? Where am I? Are you sure I'm in the right place?" "Yes." "You're ignoring my first question, aren't you?" Friday didn't answer, which couldn't be a good sign. Peter stared at the open box where he could clearly see the red and gold decorations and even a smaller full box of ridiculously big nails, but nothing else. "How am I going to do this? With magic?" "There is a hammer you may use," Friday helpfully pointed out. That's when he spotted the hammer, which looked vaguely familiar, but he was more thrown by the randomness of it all. A big-ass hammer that was just sitting there on the floor, almost as though someone had left it there on purpose. "Seriously? Right, this isn't at all suspicious." Suspicious or not, he didn't have time to figure out life's odd little mysteries when he was in danger of causing another explosion. At this rate, he would soon have to start explaining what he was doing. Answers he didn't have about strange-looking sticky white fluid all over the place. Peter shuddered at the mental image of explaining that to Stark, or worse, someone like Pepper Potts. When he picked it up, the hammer was quite light, and he worried it wouldn't last through the first nail. To his surprise, it did, all 7 of them. Too distracted to wonder about the sparks that came every time the hammer hit a nail, Peter only worried about the sudden thundering that was coming a little too close. "Of course the weather is going to turn bad when I'm getting close to going home. Typical Parker luck," he muttered bitterly as he hit the 6th nail, maybe a little too angrily. This time the whole tower shook. Friday sounded hesitant when she said, "Perhaps." She never got the chance. While hammering at the nail number 7, the tower shook again, and then there came a heavy crash as the vent close to Peter's head fell open, spitting out Natasha and Clint. Peter stared, unsure how he was meant to react. A screaming fanboy? Sadly, he was way past the hero worship, after having gotten to know the Avengers a little too well for his comfort. But they didn't know that. Should he play it cool? Black Widow and Hawkeye, he finally croaked. Peter Parker, Natasha said, looking as though she hadn't been caught spying and crawling in the vents. Nat, Clint wheezed out. You're crushing something important. I'm begging you. Natasha huffed and rose to her feet, gracefully, unlike Clint's undignified wobbling. She glanced at Peter's hand, nodded her approval, and dragged her protesting partner out of the room. Approval for what? Peter wondered, staring in confusion at the closed door. He was reaching for nail number 8 when Stark burst into the room, screaming, Parker! Peter froze, expecting to hear a lecture of some kind. Had something gone badly wrong with his experiment? Was he fired? Had Stark figured out he was Spider-Man? Wait, why was he followed by Captain America and Thor, who was grinning from ear to ear? Why were all the Avengers here? You're all here, he said dumbly. Contrary to popular belief, that was really the case. When the Avengers didn't work together, they usually had their own missions or a life to live. Is something wrong? Was this something Spider-Man needed to know about? No, everything is fine. Great. Wonderful. Perfect. I changed my mind, Stark said, looking pale, but maybe Peter was imagining it. The man was many things, but looking so openly horrified as he did now wasn't one of them. Changed your mind? Yes, Stark said with heavy emphasis. You can get back to whatever you were doing before, or go home. I'll finish this. All too happy to obey, instead of getting annoyed, Peter didn't question it. He was well on his way out when Stark stopped him again. Wait, hammer, leave the hammer. Getting tired of feeling confused, Peter looked from Stark to the others, all staring at him in a manner that made him want to crawl somewhere small, dark, and high. Until he remembered the hammer. He'd forgotten all about it. Oh, right. Sorry. He left it in Thor's waiting hands. That gave him a pause and a nagging feeling at the back of his head, and left in a hurry, the tower suddenly feeling too small. He is worthy, Thor boomed proudly, and the tower shook once more. Tony spent the remaining week bemoaning over the damage done to his wall, and trying and failing to remove the nails from it, and making sure his tower wasn't in danger of collapsing.